Good afternoon, everybody. Chris Frew with BioBuzz. Today with a special guest, Dean Miller, CEO of Philadelphia Alliances for Capital and Technologies, also PACT. And Dean, you wear two hats, it sounds like, also Managing Director for Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, PCOM Innovation Fund, right?
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. And I really wear many different hats. I consider myself an entrepreneur first and foremost. As a leader of PACT, we're going to get into that. But I also have been an investor, as I've shared with you separately, for 25 plus years, investing in healthcare and life sciences innovations across the country. And I still continue to do that with a fund with the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine that I manage. But again, for our purposes today, we're going to focus on PACT and the work we do here in the region, which we certainly consider the greater Philadelphia region, but the Mid-Atlantic region as well.
That's fantastic. Well, I look forward to digging in. Before we jump in, Dean, let me thank our sponsors for making this possible today and do a little housekeeping. For those who are just tuning in, today's conversation and all our conversations are an opportunity to hear directly from what we call ecosystem builders. Those are the investors, the community builders, the state leaders, company heads, the people that are really going above and beyond to build their innovation ecosystems. This is sponsored by each and every week by CRB. Dean, they have a big presence in Philadelphia, as well as a lot of the areas that we support. CRB is a design, build, and architectural firm. So they're literally building the ecosystems that we, Dean, are then helping to build the engagement around. So they are the ecosystem builders. They're building the labs and manufacturing spaces all around the country, specifically in life sciences. So we thank CRB for their continued support. And I just a couple other quick announcements. Make sure that if you're tuning in, you make sure you sign up for BioBuzz, sign up for our newsletter. We have a lot of events coming up in the coming week. In addition to PACT, which we'll be talking about today, one of our lead sponsors, TEDCO, has their Entrepreneur Expo on the 21st. So make sure you're signed up, and you can hear about our conversations like we're going to have today with Dean, as well as all of our future guests as well. So with that, Dean, let's jump into a conversation today. Could you maybe tell our listeners, continue a little bit about that story. Tell us a little bit about, and then lead into PACT and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. Chris, this region that we are in, the Mid-Atlantic region, is often been referred to as the center of the commercialization corridor. There's so many businesses, investors, entrepreneurs, from the DC Beltway all the way up through New York. And I moved to Philadelphia many years ago. Certainly became aware of that. And as my career evolved, got into venture capital, private equity investment, and entrepreneurship. This is 25 years ago, maybe the early days, but not so much. And Philadelphia, as a community particularly, has evolved into a top 5 venture ecosystem in the country. What I mean by that is annually, we close venture capital transactions, investments that place us 5th nationally, only trailing the Silicon Valley, New York, Boston, and LA. Comes as a surprise to some people, both in and outside of Philadelphia, but Philadelphia has great strengths in certainly life sciences. We're going to focus and talk about that, but also healthcare generally, in technology, and in other areas as well, energy, for example.
Yeah, there's a stat that I fall back on sometimes that 80% of MDs at some point in their career come through Philadelphia, and it speaks to the strength of that healthcare and system that you have up there.
There's really strong linkages, and that has been and continues to be really positive. You see a lot of people that care about Philadelphia that come back and start companies, that come back and invest. And I can give you a myriad of stories on that front.
I'm sure. Well, that's interesting. So I didn't know that it was a top 5 venture hub, which is fantastic. I mean, a lot of our listeners are raising capital for their life science or health tech companies. But that's across the board. But you mentioned, I don't think we can talk about life sciences today without also talking about technology, because that convergence is actually coming a lot closer together than ever before, and more rapidly as well. So are you seeing that up there in terms of like the type of investments that you're seeing?
Absolutely. And I know we're going to get into more of the story of PACT and the work that we do. But from a table setting perspective, you're spot on. And really, it's any industry, candidly. Generative AI has infiltrated so much of our lives, both from a personal as well as a work perspective. And in life sciences, it's a natural because there is so much data. In having generative AI as a powerful tool, whether you're talking about drug discovery or clinical trials management. Having those types of tools and the technology that helps to do it faster, more effectively, and more cost effectively is a must. And I'll just give you this for your listeners. Many may know this, but China has caught up and are about to lap us in how they effectively have produced molecules over the past decade plus. And it's now showing up in actually the transactions that get done. So we actually have to do some catch up. And there are a ton of companies, certainly in our region and in the mid-Atlantic, that are doing that.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, Dean. I mean, I think we talk about that a lot through our platform, how important today innovation is patriotic. Like innovation is something that we all need to embrace at all levels, from investors down to the innovators themselves, because it's a global race for for driving new technologies and commercialization. At the end of the day, patients win, so it's a winning game for everybody. But we can't sit on our morals saying we're the U.S. and the Center for Innovation maybe 5 years ago, but it's a different era right now, and so maybe that's a good headwind into talking about PACT and some of the work that you do, because and the importance of the work that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And by way of the genesis of PACT, by the way, our organization, which was really a merger that I effected a number of years ago of two long-standing organizations, was originally founded by life sciences leaders who knew that the connections between their companies and between the capital community was really important. That still exists today. PACT, again, we go by the acronym, the Philadelphia Alliance for Capital and Technologies. As the name implies, we think about Big T, including life sciences and a host of other technologies, is focused on supporting high growth companies and that ecosystem, investors, professional advisors, universities. So we are a nonprofit membership organization. And that's a really important point because we're very mission oriented to really uplift and support that community. But we hyper focus on how we do it. And I would tell you, that at its core, it's all about the connections. And those connections and our work is really around capital, talent, and advocacy. And I'm happy to dive into each of those as it's helpful. As you know, we've got a big capital conference coming up. We'll talk more about that just at the end of this month on October 29th and 30th.
That's great. I'm looking forward to that. I haven't been on, this is my first year I'm going to be attending, but when I talk to people, like that is one of the conferences that people bring up around, connection and capital. So how many years have you been doing that conference?
34.
34. Wow.
Not a small amount of time. I haven't been doing it for 34 years, but it's been going on for 34 years. And, you can talk to countless individuals that have attended over the years. Deals have been initiated. People have advanced their careers, their companies. It really is a cool gathering of the Mid-Atlantic and beyond. It's entrepreneurs, investors, that entire community. Again, like I said, both Philadelphia and the broader Mid-Atlantic and even beyond.
Can you break down just for our listeners? So when, because there's a lot of different types of conferences. So, someone attending the PACT conference coming up, what can they expect? Are there partnering sessions? Are there, roundtables? Like what are some things that people can expect at the conference?
Absolutely. As you might guess, over 34 years, we've refined this through the lens, honestly, of me as an investor and a collection of individuals that help support and define it. But what you can expect on the 29th of October, which is the night before the start of the one-day conference, we have an amazing networking party. We call it PACT Fest. And it's at Reading Terminal Market, which is one of those iconic places in Philadelphia that you would absolutely be in the top 3 places that you would go if you came to Philly. We take it over. And it is Philly cuisine and drink over a couple-hour period with close to 1,000 of your about to be closest friends. Again, investors, entrepreneurs, executives. It is just a great, fun time. That's the 29th. On the 30th, we have 60 companies over the course of the day presenting across multiple tracks: technology, life sciences, healthcare, both early stage as well as growth. Hence why there's so many companies, because investors like different flavors, and we give those important flavors in a platform for those companies to present. We have a couple content sessions. We have 2 great keynotes. This year, we actually have a military leadership theme. We've got a SEAL Team 6 a veteran who's turned private equity investor, is going to be fantastic, as well as a retired general from the Army who is a leadership expert and in fact teaches it and has taught it at top business schools around the country. We close it with our version of Shark Tank. We call it Lion's Den, where actual companies from the day get on stage and pitch well-heeled investors that make commitments to invest. And these deals actually consummate off stage. So it's real. But that's what you can expect on the 30th. A lot of fast pace, seeing companies, getting some knowledge from some of the content that's shared. But we also have a lot of opportunities for one-on-one networking and connecting. We make that a real priority so that people walk away feeling not just that they learned something or they saw some interesting companies, but they have the opportunity to meet and connect with people.
Sounds like a great program from start to finish. I love how you said you're 1,000 soon to be closest friends. Because you're, I think, what my experience in investing is, you get introductions to investors. It's a lot easier, right? If you meet investors through a program that you're creating, it's a lot it's a lot, warmer introductions. I'm sure like PACT as a membership, that being part of your mission, is that part of what you do? Is helping to facilitate and foster?
The Capital Conference is the consummation of what we do 365 days of the year. So our members, again, are the ones that we focus on and serve. Again, the Capital Conference just brings everybody together for one day a year. But we do this every day. Every day we're serving our members in a host of ways. And as I mentioned, it's capital. We can talk more about the advocacy and the talent side, but that is our mission, again, and that is how we lean in to provide that ROI that our members want. They're paying us effectively for a service, and that service is really helping to build those connections. We like to think that we curate a room really well, and it doesn't matter if it's a huge conference room or a table at a dinner. We do the curation incredibly well.
Yeah, that's great. So your members, is it a two-sided membership thing? So you have members that are startups and then members that are maybe not just startups, maybe growth stage, larger companies as well as members who are investors, investment bankers. Do I have that right?
You do. So we have several hundred member organizations. We actually don't have individual members. By the way, your listeners and viewers can go onto our site at any time to check out more information. It's philadelphiapact.com. There's information on membership there, as well as all of our programs, benefits of membership. But our membership, again, spans entrepreneurs from startups all the way up through the largest technology companies in the region, as well as investors of all sizes and stages. And as I said, all those ecosystem supporters.
Great. So the capital sounds incredible, and I'm sure you have people checking out your website right now. Tell us about the other two pillars. So capital, talent, and advocacy. So pick your poison, which one you want to jump into. I know you've gotten some wins on the advocacy recently.
Spend a bit of time down in your zip code in the Beltway. Advocacy, I'm going to start there. We had a huge win this summer, and we were told we were the loudest voice to make this happen. and your listeners will be aware of it as soon as I mention Section 174, which is the expensing of R&D expenses in the year in which they occurred. This provision has been part of the tax code for years, and it sunsetted in 2020 and created instant pain for entrepreneurs and large companies alike. We were a really loud voice, and we got that change. We got it made permanent in the big, beautiful bill. We got it made retroactive for small companies. And that was a huge win. And I can tell you it was a huge win because we heard it from our constituents. It really, it was just a huge shot in the arm, literally cash in the arm to companies that have a significant R&D focus. Obviously, life sciences is a leader of that pack. So we were really excited. That's not the only thing we're working on, though. And by the way, our advocacy is laser focused typically on capital and capital related initiatives. So in the state of Pennsylvania, we actually have a bill right now on both the House and Senate floor that would make NOLs, net operating losses, tradable. And it's a way to monetize the significant amounts of NOLs that companies accumulate. And again, life sciences companies lead that pack. This already exists in New Jersey, and we're bringing effectively that legislation to Pennsylvania. And we're very hopeful to get that passed, hopefully in the near term.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of Philadelphia too, like there's a lot of New Jersey entrepreneurs that have companies in Philadelphia and vice versa. I mean, it is a greater Philadelphia region, Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. We see a lot of just movement when we're up in the area.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And on the advocacy side, we also focus on talent. And talent can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. I'll just touch upon two. We focus on entrepreneurial talent because CEOs need to be well equipped. And it's a lonely job and there is no degree. So we actually started in concert, in collaboration with Ben Franklin up here, a program a decade ago called Mentor Connect, which is a team-based mentorship model, one of the nation's, if not the world's, leading models that we brought to Philadelphia. It's a very robust program, and we've seen incredible results of entrepreneurs going from kind of deer in the headlights, if you will, to standing on stage, pitching, and ultimately raising capital. So that Mentor Connect program is only for Philadelphia companies, but we certainly encourage your listeners and viewers to check it out. The second one is a apprenticeship program, a registered apprenticeship program. Again, we brought the nation's top program, Apprenti, to Philadelphia. And we're, again, as you get the sense, we're really focused in specific areas. This is all about providing a pathway that's not the four-year STEM degree for individuals into growing in need occupations. Within tech, think cybersecurity. Within life sciences, think biomanufacturing. And this is, for anybody who has spent time in Europe, this is not going to be new information. In Europe, apprenticeships lead, in fact, more so than higher education in terms of training the workforce. This is effectively bringing that to the US. And again, we're working in concert with our larger and mid-sized employer partners to launch that program here in Philadelphia.
What I love about this, Dean, so you and I talked a little bit. I'm a workforce geek at heart. I mean, I've volunteered and been part of nonprofits and workforce development my whole career. And we're part of some of the Tech Hub initiatives, here in Baltimore and some other workforce programming we do. What I love about what you're doing is, and this is something that we believe as well, is workforce development is text to execs. So we use that phrase all the time. A lot of times workforce development, people immediately think your technicians, your cybersecurity technicians, your help desk, and but in reality, for an ecosystem to really thrive and become a top 5 investment ecosystem, you have to have a true text to execs type of a philosophy workforce development, which means how are you, developing your entrepreneurship workforce? How are you developing your leadership, executive workforce? Because that all is part of why people invest in Philadelphia, right? It's and that's why companies will move to Philadelphia. So
I'm going to steal your phrase. I really like that. I actually oftentimes refer to it as aspirational workforce. There's nothing wrong with starter positions, but helping to train individuals into real careers and opportunities and ultimately executive roles and entrepreneurship roles, that is the focus of both of these programs. So I appreciate you calling that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that you're taking that comprehensive approach. I think, the results through some of your advocacy and some of your work, I'm sure is showing effort. And the fact that you didn't just kind of start something to, you and I talked a little bit also about, what's additive, what's retractive of an organization. So, it sounds like you went out and said, hey, these are the best programs that work. Let's bring them in, versus kind of like, let's create our own flavor.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm a big believer. You don't need to recreate the wheel. Somebody's already done it, and you can take it, make it better. But that's exactly what we did in both those cases.
We call that R&D, rip off and duplicate, or rent and duplicate if you're licensing. Well, that's great. So 3 pillars that seem to really stack up to each other. I mean, is that what you see from your members? I mean, the workforce supports the entrepreneurship and vice versa, and the advocacy, you're just really creating the ecosystem that's right, with the right policies and the right systems that enable your members to thrive.
Very much so. And like I said, culmination of that work will be on display later this month at the Capital Conference, but it's the work that we do every single day. And the Capital Conference isn't the only thing we do. So for your listeners, we're regularly running programs and events for people to plug into to, again, get better connected.
Yeah. So as we kind of come to the tail end of things, I want to get some of your feedback on some of the, focus on life science. What are some of the trends that you do see? And, you don't have to give away everything that's going to be talked about at your conference, so we can leave that as a teaser for people to come and join you. But what are some of the trends that you're seeing in the capital field, especially in Philadelphia? I mean, you clearly see a lot of deal flow there. So can you share some of those trends?
Sure. We'll talk about a couple, and I will link back into a little bit of the conversation that people may hear at the conference. You just produced a capital report. We actually produce an annual capital report on this region, on the Philadelphia region specifically. Life sciences has been battered. I've been in this business, as I shared, for 25 plus years, and this is one of the worst in terms of just challenging times to raise capital. Hard to be optimistic, but as an entrepreneur, I'm eternally optimistic. And we've recently seen, even with the first interest rate cut, a little bit of activity. Right, there were a couple of IPOs that got out. Hopefully, that do well and provide a pathway for more capital to flow. Still within the biotech space, those public markets really do matter. And there's a lot of near dead companies sitting in the public markets that need a bit of a shot in the arm. Part of that can happen, obviously, with clinical development or preclinical work, but capital actually is a really key element that you just can't do it without. So I am hopeful that we'll see continued progress on that front. And I see a little bit of breaking of the ice. In fact, we've had a couple really big deals here in Philadelphia just this year. Dispatch Bio is one of them, just to call out. So there is good continued progression on the technology development front. On the commercialization side, one of our big partners, University of Pennsylvania, has been behind quite a bit of that. And I expect that to continue. But make no bones about it. The entrepreneurs out there building companies have had to be creative on how they raise capital, and alternative sources of capital maybe is the buzzword to use your organization's name.
Yeah.
How do you find that? Well, come to the Capital Conference. We've got some people that are going to talk on that. But there certainly are some creative ways, and I've seen great companies raise capital by going abroad, by specifically looking at specific foundations that have leaned into venture philanthropy, which is a growing segment, particularly within the life sciences space, given, as you said, the amazing patient work that's ultimately being done by these companies. It's not for the faint of heart to be the leader of a life sciences organization these days. But again, I remain hopeful both in continued public market activity, but also the private market activity. We talk about trends within rare disease, ultra rare disease, massive spaces. We're still early days, right? Well, we do certainly a number with our lifestyles to affect a number of things that aren't going away anytime soon, and that provides opportunity. That comes in the form of both biotechnology, emerging themes in cell and gene therapy, and a number of other spaces as well.
I heard someone say we're in the AOL. We're still in the AOL days of gene therapy. So
maybe earlier.
Yeah, maybe earlier. So to your point, like every market, you look at the stock market, there's ups and downs and ups and downs. And in gene therapy, which I know there's a big gene therapy population of startups and companies in Philadelphia. When it's bad, they're going to get hit. But what I like to say is like innovation finds a way, and it sounds like you're seeing that with your members too. Creativity is one of those key entrepreneurial characteristics. We have a program coming up. So we run the life sciences track for DC Science or Startup and Tech Week. We have a program coming up, and one of the things I'm excited about that program, we have 4 TED Talk style conversations in the morning, and a serial entrepreneur, Murat Caliago, founded several cell therapy companies. He's given a TED Talk style about the next generation of life science entrepreneurs. And I don't know if you see this in your membership, but entrepreneurs today are grittier. They're more creative. They're finding ways to get data that used to take $5 million. They're doing for $2 million. I mean, just that alone, I think the next 5 years, we could see some really creative, earlier stage advancements that we hadn't seen before without the funding.
I agree. And listen, I mentioned China. That's what they're doing. So entrepreneurs need to figure that out real quickly to compete and move any asset along faster and cheaper.
Well, if for everyone listening, you've heard it several times, but a good place to be just in a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks, is at the PACT conference to get some of those questions answered and hear and see. You said 60 some presentations from startups and funding companies.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. Again, you can get to our website at Philadelphia PACT.com and sign up for our newsletter. You'll get great information on what's going on in certainly this community and beyond. The Mid-Atlantic Capital Conference, love to see you there. You can link to that as well through our website. And be a supporter of an entrepreneur. And really, we hope that you continue to lean into supporting all of our ecosystems.
Well, I appreciate you, Dean, and I appreciate everything you do. As an entrepreneur myself, like we need the deans and the PACs of the world, because like you said, it's not an easy ride, especially now, and especially in life sciences. So the organizations like yours make a really huge difference. And I appreciate you sharing your story today and talking to our audience about everything you do.
Chris, thanks for what you're doing and appreciate the invite.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, thank you all for tuning in today. Hope you'll come and join us next week. We have another ecosystem builder and entrepreneur, which seems to be a theme. Jesse Christopher, CEO of Longevity. In addition to running Longevity, which is a kind of a cranial implant company, he's building a neuroscience ecosystem in Baltimore. One of the top hubs for neuroscience and neurosurgery is here at Johns Hopkins. So really good opportunity to learn all about the neuroscience work happening around they call it Neurotech Harbor. So we'll be talking about that next week. And then I will be at the PACT conference. So if you're tuning in and you're here today, or you see me next couple of weeks, come and join me, share the train ride with me. It's a nice train ride. I love the company, and let's all go to PACT together in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, thank you, Dean. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll talk